My people, it's about that time.
Like a boss.
Live from the USA, helping you get paid every day. This is the boss of Bitcoin, the Cristo of crypto. It's your boy BK. And if you don't like me, you must not like money. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Today we are doing a Bitcoin trading strategy for beginners. This is the one of the most convenient and simple methods to accumulate more Bitcoin over time and maximize your CAGR for all your investment alternatives. So look forward to that. Hope to make some money with you, and let's go ahead and get it in. If this is your first time tuning in, congratulations, baby. You are now rocking with the best. My name is BK, also known as the Crypto Trader, and I'm the boss of these charts, as you will soon find out. Every day I grace this microphone with my voice is another day you get to profit as a result, and today is no exception. So if you haven't done it already, make sure you subscribe, turn your notifications on. I do a video every single day to help you stay empowered and in profit in the markets. So ain't nothing to do but to do what it do. Let's go ahead and make this money. First things first, I told you I give away free Bitcoin every single Friday. If you want to win some free BTC, this is your chance to rep your city. All you need to do is leave a shout out to wherever you are in the world in the comments. Every video I do is another chance to win, and the winner will be chosen live on the air on Friday. So shout your city out in the comments. I will get to those at the end of the video, right? What we're talking about today is CAGR, right? This is one of the most important metrics or KPIs when it comes to wealth accumulation. It's like living in this world. That's one lesson you go have to learn one way or another, is how to leverage the principle of compound interest over time. And what this metric does is it basically standardizes the variance to give you an average rate of return. It says the compound annual growth rate, aka CAGR, is the rate of return that would be required for an investment to grow from its beginning balance to its ending balance, assuming the profits were reinvested at the end of each quarter. Essentially, that means you don't pull any money out of the investment, you just let it ride. This is the theology of HODL. Hold on for dear life. Just buy it, ride the roller coaster, and enjoy the view from the top. You know, it might not be the top of the top when you look down, but it's going to be a lot higher than you was when you started, right? And being in this game for a better part, 10 years now, I can tell you, it's definitely a roller coaster. It goes up, it goes down, it goes sideways, it goes to sleep, and wake up with a vengeance, but it's by far the best ride in the world. So, when you compare it to all the other different assets, it's not even close. And this also leverages a method called dollar cost averaging, where essentially you spend the same amount on the same frequency, regardless of what the price of Bitcoin is. So, for example, when I started trading, Bitcoin was only $400 or $500. You know what I'm saying? So I could put in $50 or $100, and that was a significant portion of Bitcoin. And if I dollar cost average, I would still be putting in that same $50 or $100 today. Right? What that does is essentially it locks you in to a set rate of return, and the only variable that matters now is the variance of profitability and performance on BTC, right? But as long as you're plugging the machine, as long as you keep converting fiat dollars to BTC, your value will go up over time. That's what the machine is designed to do, and it's the best machine at generating more dollars in the existence of humanity, right? So, CAGR, again, beginning, ending, divided by time intervals, right? Bitcoin has a wide variance of performance. This is month to month, from 2010 to 2019. I just wanted to use it as a visual. I know we're much farther past this, and it's even more data to throw on top of it. But it gives you kind of an idea of what's normal for yearly performance, right? And this is really what CAGR starts to capture. And, identify are these categories over here. So for example, this is all the way back, let's start at the bottom, right? 2010, we had a annual return of 200%, 300, 180. This year was crazy. 2013, that was like the Mt. Gox year. It went from like $1 to like $1,200, something crazy. But over time, if you take out those two outliers, it's safe to say that Bitcoin's average CAGR is probably sitting around 80 to 100%. And but that's taking out the two biggest years. So if you add those in, it probably throws it off to like 300, 400% a year, something crazy, right? I didn't want to use that as our base point because, again, this is not the life cycle that Bitcoin's in anymore. That first life cycle was epic. I remember looking at Bitcoin's price like $250 in 2015, and I finally started buying it at $450. A couple years, about a year later. But one of the things I wanted to show you is a relevant chart, right? This is BTC to the USD. This is on a monthly. And real quick, before I start this chart, I'm going to ask you one more time. If you haven't done it, just make sure you hit that like button. This is, the boss of Bitcoin. You are officially a part of history. This is one of the best crypto trading channels in the world, y'all. So hit that like button, support the community, and let's get the good word out to the people. My job, my goal is to help as many people make as much money as possible. I'm here to change the lineage of the world. I'm not just here to fix my family and make my nieces and nephews and grandkids rich. I'm here to flatten the curve insofar as wealth accumulation is concerned. I have a very proven and simple mathematic theology that I will get in when I release my course in about a month or so. But until then, we doing this thing on the fly. This is Bitcoin on a monthly. I don't even zoom out this far, but it shows you the hand over fist. This is a pretty cool chart, right? You go back to the beginning of the epic run in 2017, and Bitcoin was still sitting at $724. Yes, that's 724, no commas. You know what I'm saying? Once it broke out, this was the epic run, alt season as they called it. Bitcoin went all the way up to 20K, came back down, right? Ended, flattened out right around, what's this? $3,000. So essentially these are, if we were doing like a long-term trend line, those would be really the 2 points that you could look at starting a relationship with, because that was the low to the low. Now keep in mind, I do more macro momentum trading, but still it's kind of relevant when you're able to cap out the extension on the first cycle, and right there on the other side, you're able to use those same extensions as support. And I told you, like in my first few videos, you have to look for the area where the floors become the ceilings and the ceilings become the floors. This is basically the market confirming that cycle and moving on into the next, right? But it's still very, very, very relevant, right? If we wanted to extend this thing, I don't even want to do it on a monthly. Yeah, I'm not going to do that on a monthly. But it starts to show you that the Fibonacci is still useful even when you're doing these long-term assessments, right? But one of the things I want to do is start this analysis right there, right? Because I told you this was our first huge cycle when Bitcoin, went up 5,000% or whatever it was. Alt season 17, it was a beautiful moment in history. That's when I, made my presence known into the ether with how to chart like a boss. And, it was a pretty cool experience. But now, this is what I think is more relevant, because this basically began the new cycle that we have right now. 1/1/2020. If you go back in time, this is when essentially the world shut down. COVID 2020 really had a catastrophic effect on the fluidity of markets, and almost served as a reset, because if you remember, everything was shut down for the better part of 4 or 5 months. Only workers deemed essential, i.e. Taco Bell was essential. You shut down every college, every church, every workout gym for people to get healthy, but you leave Taco Bell and KFC open, you know what I'm saying? Because that's essential for the American economy, apparently, right? But anyways, we had about good 6 months before the companies opened up and the market really got active again. And it basically gave us a reset, right? Everything dropped down, recovered, and for about 4 or 5 months basically evened out. But when you measure after that, right, and even through that period, you really can get a strong correlation as to what the best assets were for performance, right? And plus it gives us a nice clean starting point at the beginning of a calendar year. So again, we were sitting at $7,100, right? That was the price of Bitcoin, 1/1/2020. And today we are north of 64,000, right? That is 800% over 54 bars. Each bar is 1 month. So in order to start to find our CAGR, we say 825 divided by 54. That gives us 165%. Nope, that's not right. Wait a minute. 825 divided by 54. I don't know what happened on that. 15%, right? But keep it in mind, that's per month. So you making 15% a month on your money. It's crazy. You don't even get that in most places, right? For example, this is just a general spread of potential return. And these are traditional investment or asset vehicles pre-2015, right? You had cash, bonds, real estate, commodities, luxury investments, and stocks. Most people, were, especially my generation, grew up either doing stocks or bonds. Once you made some real money, you could start to flip it in real estate and luxury investment. I don't know what's that, a Rolex, gold? Like, I'm not sure what that is. But those are kind of the big investment vehicles. And keep in mind, without risk, there is no reward. So the higher the risk, presumably the higher the potential reward, all things being equal. This is an actual projected return. Like, these are the yield spreads that they still utilize to this day for stocks and bonds. The expected return on 100% bonds is around 4%. You are barely beating inflation at 4%. And that's why they talk about the yield curve being inverse, because essentially it's more expensive to hold this money over time than the market is paying you back, which is crazy. So we are going net negative for some of the biggest fiduciaries in the world right now. And then on stocks, on the right-hand side, 100% stocks gives you about an average 10% return. Now, if you listen to a lot of wealth generation people, they talk about the stock market has an average return of 12%, right? So, all things being equal, since like 1982, the stock market on average would give you between 8 and 12%. 8 on the low, 12 on the high. I think the last few years are anomalies because we're essentially boiling over, printing all this fake money so the markets could try to compete with BTC. But I digress, right? So on average, stock market go give you 8 to 12%, right? This is a little profitability calculator. I just showed you how Bitcoin is getting you 15% a month. And keep in mind, when I gave you that 8 to 12, that's on a year. You know what I'm saying? That's 12 months, right? 12 months, right? And this already took into account like 1928 to 2021. So that data's set. Right? But let's go to this investment calculator. And again, we're talking about dollar cost averaging, to where you start with an initial principal, initial investment, and then you make an additional purchase at an expected time. Now, the way this calculator works, I can leave this link in the description for you guys. I think it's a pretty cool tool for wealth projection and just getting you excited about making some real deal money, some life-changing money. I'm trying to let you know right now. This game will change your life. All you got to do is keep plugging in at it, right? And if you are fortunate enough to have a job with a career and a bi-weekly direct deposit, like, you really don't have an excuse to not contribute, at least on a bi-weekly basis, right? I think, realistically, if you can't afford $500 to invest at this point, I think you need to do a side hustle, start you some DoorDash, sell something on eBay, like whatever you need to do to come up with that 500 that doesn't take away from your regular living expenses like rent, food, utilities. Like if you go have to skip rent to buy $500 worth of BTC, obviously that's not a good trade. But once you get your hustle game up and you can scrape together $500 on the side, put it in BTC, additional contribution. Let's say you are on a direct deposit, right? So you get 2 checks a month and you want to do $50 out of each check, right? So that means on a monthly, you would be putting in $100. If this was the stock market, the chart I just showed you, right? That 10% cap out, let's be generous to them. Let's give them 12.5 because, you know what I'm saying, there's been a few good years in there as of late, right? In 10 years, that $500 plus $100 every 2 weeks, or $50 every 2 weeks, would be 25 grand. That's the projected expected maximum for the stock market, right? You start with 500, you put in 100 a month. At the end of 10 years, you got 25K. That's not bad, right? It's not bad at all. Not bad at all. The difference, right, is when you put it in crypto, you're getting that 12% a month, which is crazy, right? And so now, how do we do 12 a month, yearly? 12 a month, we said 15 a month times 12, 180 on a year since 2020, right? No, just 1 year. There you go. So that's 1 year. You have $2,000. Let's do 3 years. 3 years, you have 14,000. 5 years, you got 112,000. 7 years, you're almost sitting at $1 million. And let's say that the market slowed down drastically, right? The statistics that I've done and I've run in the background, and I've done this several times, tells me, and this is what I tell people, like when I tell them about Bitcoin, I'm like, yo, the CAGR is between 40 to 60% a year. It don't matter when you buy it, as long as you hold it for at least a year, on average, you will make between 40 and 60%. Now, since 2020, we've made 180% a year, but we've been on an extreme bull cycle. That's going to balance out, flatline. Let's say it's a triangle, 3 equals part, boom, divided by 3. So let's say we get 60% a year. That 500 plus 100 bi-weekly in 10 years gives you 84K. That's not bad, right? It's not bad at all. And if this thing stays on par with the 15% monthly, it's really giving you a pretty good projection. And this is only $500 or $100 a pay. What happens if you can start with 1,500, right? And you're able to do $250 a pay, which gives you 500, right? Rate of return, I told you, is going to be minimum 40% on Bitcoin. Look at these numbers, guys. This is how it works right here. That is life-changing money, right? Now, granted, it's a little bit more steep to get to that level, and that's 18 M's. You know what I'm saying? M's. Rate of return 40%. You're only doing 500. Oh, so that's $250 a pay. That's not even that bad. Let's bump that up to 1,000. You know what I'm saying? If you really balling, you just do it like that. 500 a check. Start with 1,500 up front, 500 a check. That's my goal, people. That's what I'm calculating for myself right now. I just needed to see it. Because I'm going to be here 20 years from now, y'all. And Bitcoin going to be here 20 years from now. And it's good to know 500 a check ain't too much. That's like a car note. You know what I'm saying? That's a car note and a cell phone, right? So get your hustle game up. Come up with 500 every 2 weeks, even if you got to cut it down to just 500 a month, right? Because, you know what I'm saying, that might be too much for somebody to do 1,000. 18 million, right? Start with 15, throw in 500 a month, 40% rate of return. Even if it slowed down drastically, guys, you still got enough to retire. But it's not going to slow down that much, right? We going to keep this thing locked at 35 minimum. You sitting at $10 million in 10 years. In 20 years, sorry. And all you got to do is put up a car note on Bitcoin. You see what I'm saying? This is the power of compound interest. And what this chart don't show you, see, this is the simple way to do it. You see what I'm saying? But what I've done, people, in the background, is I've allowed us to maximize time to where now, instead of running CAGR on annual or monthly returns, right? We could jump in this thing, you know, and start to jump in and jump out of Bitcoin 2-3 times a year, right? And this is called the boss method, to where we have 3 simple moving averages that, you know, we're able to trade against each other. And when the market comes all the way behind it, it's go time, right? And that's what I teach. This is called swing trading, basically where you measure the momentum in the chart and you're able to leverage the magnitude of time and profitability, right? So like I said, 2017 was a magical moment, you know. We're using my methodology. You would sell it when that white goes below the blue and you buy it back. So essentially, even if, let's just look at this one section of the chart right there, right? Boom, boom, boom. And this is what the boss method does, people. This is what I teach on my channel. This is the methodology. I've helped hundreds, if not thousands, of traders around the world make real money, you know, change their life. And it's based off mathematics. But essentially, you jump in right here, right? That's your buy signal. White above the blue, you know what to do, right? And let's just run through this real quick. Boom. 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 Right? That's going to be your sell. This is going to be your buy. And keep in mind, this is a daily, so it's a lot longer than what it would be. Normally, we do it on a 343, to where this basically made you 2 trades, like average 1 trade a year, right? You would have bought it at 11.05, sold it at 274. So right there, in that 1 trade, you would have realized 120%, right? You buy it back at 23.50. So you take maybe a 1% loss on the spread, you know, 3% loss, 5%, whatever it is on the spread, but you mitigate the risk. And then you sell it at 450%. You sell it up here, and this is really when I, you know, kind of let off doing videos for a minute. It was sell it at 1,200. So you buy it back at 27, sell it at 12, make 450%. And then you just ride it down, right? You really just ride it down. Like, this would have been the first area to start looking at buying this thing back again, Now that I'm looking at this chart, probably right about there, right? Because now you weren't being held under on that gray line. That gray line is a very, very, very important section of the chart. Once it goes under that gray line, it's in quicksand. That means the chart is about to fall under. But once it gets above it, that means it's above water. It can finally run and it's off to the races, right? We've been, you know, free and clear on Bitcoin for quite some time, and you can see it acts almost as just like a support line over time. Like, very rarely will you see the entire market just sink into that gray, right? And again, this is the theology I'm using to build my course. So if you appreciate this content, you know, make sure you subscribe. The course will be released later this year. And I just wanted to show you guys, like, this is life-changing money. This is my goal as it stands right now. You know what I'm saying? I got me a little direct deposit, not a lot, just enough. And this is what I'm looking at. Like, as long as I could just keep par with what I'm doing right now, nothing too crazy, 20 years, I had $10 million. But guess what? I'm going to be swing trading it, so it's probably going to be about 22 on the low. You know, all upwards of 40. Because when you can jump in and jump out like double dutch, you can multiply the profits tenfold. Because now you have time working on your side and you're not paying time to lose Bitcoin, right? That's a lose-lose scenario. We don't do that here, right? This is another cool little chart. You know, this is talking about certain days in history. As I mentioned, 0101 2020 was kind of the catalyst for the new cycle that we're at right now. If you would have bought $100 worth of Bitcoin on that day, you would have $895 right now. So essentially, for every $100 you bought on that day, you'd have an additional 800 on top of it. It's crazy. Like, the growth in this asset is astronomical, right? And you really get to multiply it when you learn how to swing trade the altcoins, because that essentially gets you more Bitcoin per IOTA unit time, right? Let's go. Let's jump into our shout out game. I know it's a lot of people leaving me shout outs now on these videos. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Let's see here. Comments, right? I'm just going to go to the people I haven't yet responded to. Hello, boss from the DMV, DC, Maryland. Gold is a good asset along BTC to build wealth with. Yes, sir. I couldn't agree more. Shout out to you too, Mr. Cedric Rogers. Good to see you. San Diego, boss walking on the West Coast. Wealth stewards in the building. Salute. Wholeness and balanced vibration. Big energy whenever BK posts. That's right. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to change the world. One video at a time. One successful trade at a time. Shout out from Kosovo. Stargazer. You know what I'm saying? They said they got some star kids in the building. What's going on, Slovenia? This is what I'm telling you guys. The community is global. I feel like Cali right now. We global. You know what I'm saying? Like they said, somebody said they saw one of my videos being played in a cafe in Dubai. Like, I was like, wow, it's crazy. But Bitcoin is a global product. Like, this is built for the world. It's of the people, for the people, by the people. And the people are all the way around the world, right? So it's pretty cool. And San Diego, London, right? And boss is back. Yes, sir. So there you go. Thank you all again for leaving your shout out. If you want a chance to win some free BTC in the next video, I'm going to pick a winner from these comments. So show your city some love. Let me know where you coming from, where you at in the world. And thank you so much for your support, everybody. With that being said, it's that time of the day. Signing out. Boss. Boy BK, no matter where you stay, Brazil to Bay, California, all the way back out through Germany. Good night, good morning, and good day. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your time. Hit that thumbs up button for a player one time. Do that for me if you appreciate mine. Till we meet again, stay cryptic, y'all. Peace.
Like a boss.
Huh. Arms.